All right, if you have a Pyxis 6K, then chances are you're going to want to rig it out to tailor it to your specific workflow needs and your shooting style. And there are a lot of options out there, but there are some greater than others. And I think this one right here, made by XLCS Designs, is probably the best option out there for configuring a camera exactly how you want. So I want to talk about this cage. I'm not going to do a full rig breakdown or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about some of the design elements that I really like, and then I will show some B-roll of the camera more outfitted with how I've built it out, so you can kind of see just how clean of a rig you can get with it. But I want to talk about just some of the design aspects and a couple of the accessories that they make with this cage that, in my opinion, just makes this such an incredibly thoughtfully designed camera cage. So real quick, they did send this out to me with a number of accessories to make some content on, and I was happy to do it because they're a great company, and I wanted to share some love and share with you, my audience, just more options out there for rigging your Pyxis. I have another Pyxis build video that elements of that I like better than this, and there are a lot of things about this that I like better than that other. So you know what? Options. We love options. So here's another option for your Pyxis 6K, and there's a lot of great things to say about it. This cage here, they have two versions. There's this one right here, which is called their full metal jacket, and then they have a hollow point version as well, which I think those names are awesome. The only difference between the two cages would be this front part right here, and this just gives you a little bit more protection to the front of the camera, but you can still access your viewfinder port and mini XLR port. Now, what's really cool about this cage is it's a full like unibody design. So there's not like different plates that you marry up together and screw together and everything. This is all one piece that is extremely strong and also pretty lightweight comparative. Like I think this one is 23 ounces, somewhere around there. And I think one of the ways that they were able to make this so lightweight is milling out like over 300 mounting points throughout the camera and cutting out cold shoe mounts all throughout the camera, and then the vents here on the top. So the full metal jacket here, it is designed specifically for the L mount, and really the big difference is, apart from a little extra protection on the front, is you have these two other mounting locations, and that's for a specific lens mount lock adapters, if you will. So basically it prevents any wiggle from the lens mounts. But I have right here the universal lens mount lock thing. I think that's what it's called. And the mounting points that I'm using, I'm pretty sure, are also on the hollow point version as well. And the reason why this is really nice is for L mount cameras. This doesn't really apply to PL or EF mount cameras, but for the L mount cameras, this just allows you to lock in different adapters. And I've got a number of different adapters. I've got this DZO Octopus locking EF to L adapter. I've got the Sigma MC21 adapter and a Simod PL to L mount adapter as well. And those all work really well with this lens adapter lock, and it just prevents any wiggle at the lens mount at the camera. And with a locking adapter, like a locking EF adapter, then there's absolutely zero play, or a PL adapter, there's absolutely zero play with the lens, which is really important when you are using like a follow focus, or especially with anamorphic lenses. You don't want the lens twisting, because then you actually get a skewed image, which it's not fun to fix and post. So there's a number of other different mounting options. Something that I use right here, down here at the bottom, there's a 1/4-20 with a locating pin here. You actually have the same thing here at the top, and this allows you to use a 15mm rail that they make as well. Something else that you can buy from their website, and you can see there's a little locating pin right there. So you just mount it directly to there, and then with the included 1/4-20 screw, you screw that in, and it creates a super solid connection, and that locating pin prevents it from backing out, which is really cool. And the way that these are, it goes directly into the cage. It's just really nice because it helps, it eliminates the need for a base plate, which is great for mounting rails and stuff too. But if you go handheld and you still need your rails, that just creates extra weight. So this design here just eliminates that extra weight that you would get from a base plate. So that's really nice. And typically base plates aren't the lightest thing in the world, but that's not a bad thing because that typically just means they're built really well. And your camera's sitting on, you got a huge investment sitting on that base plate. So you want it to be heavy and robust. But this just eliminates the need for that base plate, which is a really cool option. They also make this little dog bone right here. Instead of mounting the rail directly to the 1/4-20 here, you can actually put this dog bone here. And what that does is that drops the rail to a more industry standard height. I don't remember what the actual dimension is, but it drops the rails just enough. So if you're using a rail mounted matte box, or if you just have really big lenses and you need more clearance, more standard clearance for your follow focus motor or whatever, then you can drop the rails down here. And same way you can elevate the rails here if you needed to for whatever, if you wanted to mount rails there on the top. So I highly recommend you, if you get all of this stuff, to just certainly get the dog bone as well, because that would be really, really helpful for some lens and matte box configurations. So on both sides, there are built-in NATO rails on the front, so you can see it on both sides, which is really cool. Now on the operator side of the camera, it's obviously cut out for the menu buttons and the function buttons and all that, and the lock switch. Now here, this is a really cool design aspect that I really like. And at first I was like, I don't think I would use that, but now, like, for sure, this is like one of my favorite features of this cage. And it's this little cutout right here. So this is a screen protector essentially that they also sell on their website, and they actually cut a groove specifically for this lens protector into the cage itself, and it fits in, like, the tolerances are really tight, which is nice. So you can slide it in, and it just protects your screen from any kind of potential damage or anything during transport. So if you drop this in a doctor bag, or even have it stripped down like this in a Pelican case, you can put this over the screen and slide it in, and then it's just another way to prevent it from the actual screen on the camera from getting damaged. And there's also these two little holes that marry up to that align with two 1/4-20 mounts here. And so when you get this, it comes with a couple of 1/4-20 screws, and you can screw that in for kind of a more permanent transport if you're doing like an air travel or something like that, just to prevent anything from causing any damage. So they have this clear one here. They have a solid black version, and then they also have a sun hood that actually can fit into the same grooves, which is really cool. So you got mounting points all up and down the sides here, and got some angled here, and down the bottom, actually like putting a little like sprig cable management thing for my EVF, which is really nice. On the other side, same story, ton of mounting points. You've got a cold shoe mount here, so if you wanted to mount something like a time code box with a cold shoe mount, you got that here. You also have a cold shoe mount here up at the top. You can mount like a shotgun mic or whatever else. I mean, you use your imagination or do it exactly how you want to. An area rosette here on the side for side handles or whatever. Again, NATO rail here, and then it's kind of hard to see in this angle, but I'll do some B-roll. But you've got a sensor marker here, and it's cut out so you can use, if you have a tape measure, it's notched here, so you can have the tape measure claw hold on to that, so you can get your measurements that way. Or there's actually a threaded M4 hole in the middle of it too, which is really nice. So if you're using a soft tape, you can screw in an M4 screw there, and then you won't have to have somebody sitting here holding the tape. You can actually just wrap it around there. So that's a really cool, neat little design aspect. Again, it's just like, I feel like this was definitely designed, I know it was designed by a filmmaker who's been on set, been on productions, and just there's like these tiny little things like, oh, I wish I'd had this, I wish I'd had this. You can tell that this was designed by somebody who has spent a lot of time on set with different camera configurations. So the top and the bottom, what's kind of unique about the top and the bottom is there are a ton of mounting points, which is really cool, but they actually still maintained the same mounting point designs as you find on the actual top of the camera. And this is one of the reasons why they did this, is so that you can use OEM parts from Blackmagic Design. So like the Pyxis monitor kit, the little dovetail mount thing they have right there will mount up to this because it uses the same mounting holes that you have on the top of the camera, as well as a ton of other quarter 20 mounts and stuff if you want to put like a NATO rail or something. So you can just see how many mounting points there are on the top and even on the bottom. Same story. I've got a tripod plate here, but it utilizes the same mounting point designs as the camera. So again, compatibility with Blackmagic OEM parts and base plates and stuff like that. Now here on the back, I have this plate right here. This is not something that comes with the cage itself. This is something you can purchase additionally. But I wanted to show you how it's configured onto here, because I think a lot of people will probably want this and want to run it like this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it adds a little bit of protection to the BNC ports here, a little bump protection here, which is nice. And it's still easy to access everything, the power switch and the USB and CF Express ports and all that. But one thing that I do really like about this, number one, you've got your mounting points for rails, which is how I configured. I put the rails here. But if you don't have this plate, you still have these same mounting points here for the rails on the back. So you don't need this plate to mount rails on the back. But what's really cool is it adds that extra protection, a couple more mounting points, and then this little plate here, if you're not using the BPU style plate, you can see there's these 3 screws just on the back. If you're using a BPU battery, then you just take this plate off and no big deal. But if you are not going to be using the BPU plate and you're just wanting to use a V-mount plate, like something like this, and just run the camera off of DTAP power, which I think a lot of people are going to opt to do anyways, because most people already have V-mount batteries and it's just a standard 2-pin power input like you would use on like a Teradek or something. This little plate here gives you more mounting points, but also has a cold shoe mount here. And this is like a perfect place to mount something like a pack, like a lavalier pack right here. And it just makes it super clean and super minimal looking, but it's also like ergonomic. Like it's out of the way. Once it's all set up, you're probably not going to be changing the settings on the receiver pack anyways. And it's a place, where it's kind of unused space anyways. And now you can just fit your pack in there like that, and it's just super clean in my opinion. Now the one thing that I really wish that was on the back of this was maybe even on the side of this rear plate is just labeled which one is SDI and which one is time code and Ethernet and power. And the only reason I say that is because this is a pretty popular owner op camera, but more so than that, like for bigger jobs where there's crew and a separate sound op, they might not know the ins and outs of this particular camera, and just having this labeled time code like etched in or whatever would just make it less confusing for the sound op to know like which one is going to camera for SDI, which one's time code. So it's a small thing, but it's just that's one thing that I wish was just a little bit more made a little bit more evident. But that's really the only observation I have about this cage in the back. Now the other thing that I really wish this cage did have was a better solution for XLR, and probably my favorite thing about my other build was using that mid 49 XLR breakout box thing, and that gives you 2 full-size XLRs, which is so handy in so many situations. But I'm pretty sure that they are working on some kind of XLR, full-size XLR adapter or breakout or something like that. So if that does come to fruition, then that pretty much eliminates my biggest and really only complaint about this cage. Otherwise, I really think it's probably the best solution out there for rigging your Pyxis to exactly how you want, just with all of the different mounting points and being able to still utilize a lot of like the OEM mounting locations, which is not very common with a lot of cages out there. So that's the option here. I mean, there's so much flexibility with rigging this thing out. Will, the owner of XLCS Designs, has a great video on his YouTube channel, which I'll link below, that goes into even more detail about some of the design elements of this cage. But I will leave a link in the description to their website so you can find all the different parts that you want to get for your camera. I'd highly recommend this cage. I think it's probably the best design out there. And then I think we have a code at checkout. You can use code Tyler, Tyler, and that'll get you free shipping on the cage, but it's not going to give you free shipping. Like if you try to go buy a cable, it's not going to give you free shipping on that. So just be aware that the code's not going to work. You need to get the cage, get the free shipping. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Really great design, and thank you XLCS Designs for sending this out. This is probably going to be how this is going to be permanently configured. I don't think this camera is going to leave this cage. I don't think so, especially when there is a better solution for XLR audio. So that's all I have for you in this one. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.